everybody? It's Davey from the 80s, and you are now entering the Cinema Chop Shop. So park your ass right there. And while you're there, don't forget to hit the like, the share, and the subscribe button. Also, if you check the link below, you'll see a Patreon link. If you click it, you become a member. All you got to do is try, recommend movies, music, and trailers for me to react to. And now, with that being said, today I have decided to do a full spoiler filled breakdown of Zack Snyder's. I don't know why I was about to say Josh Whedon, but Zack Snyder's Snyder cut of the Justice League. So I have an abundance of notes that I wrote. So last night when I reviewed it, it was just I just literally finished watching it. It was a hot take, first off the top. And then now that I've had more time to sit down and simmer on it, I wrote down some notes and some thoughts that I have. And a lot of these things will be scattered, but I'm just going to go down these notes one by one. Number one of the first notes that I had while I was watching this movie is that I noticed that I did not like the score. The score sounded as if a fat woman had her toes stepped on while she was in the middle of bellowing. Like she's getting ready to sing. Somebody stomped on her foot and she's just like, ah. Like I personally felt like that score did not fit the movie at all. And like as I'm watching this movie and I'm hearing this like continuously throughout the movie, it became very, very annoying. I didn't like that the music selection scene where Aquaman is walking into the ocean. That scene did not fit the moment, in my opinion. It didn't go as well as the original version. Also, we have there's a couple of rock scores in here that I feel like just like I don't know, they just didn't feel superhero-y. They felt like action movie, like action hero-y things. Like when I think of like superhero movies, I think of like orchestral scores and just epic, just orchestras and string instruments. But like they had some in here, like, and there were some things in here that were good. But I think that picking Junkie XL in order to score this movie was a very, very bad mistake. It felt like the singing part, the vocal only singing, that stuff, like that reminded me of like something that I can see in 300, and it might work for 300, but it's not going to work for something like this film. Moving on to my next point, my next note, thought that the Mirror and Steppenwolf fight underwater was pretty dope. The way that she was about to end his career under the water and he had to smack her away. The fight looked like it was going somewhere and she was really throwing hands. And I honestly thought that she was going to be fodder. When they started fighting, I was like, man, he's about to watch her and just move on. And then this is when Aquaman is going to come in and do his thing. But she put up a really good fight. She was really about to end this man's career. So I was really surprised that that fight was as interesting as I thought. Like I kind of like had to perk my ears up and was like, oh shit, what's going on right here? She actually really good. She putting up a good fight. So shout outs to her. That fight scene was pretty dope. Speaking of Steppenwolf, I liked how they elaborated more on his story, his backstory, and the meaning behind it. More along the lines of like his motivation, right? He was banished. He wants to come back home. And in order to do so, he needs to do some just over the top crazy shit in order to appease Darkseid so that he could come back home. So that was cool to know that Steppenwolf had a motivation behind his visit to Earth and things like that. So that was pretty cool. I like that they elaborated more on that. That was a really cool aspect of this film. Speaking of Steppenwolf and other characters, I really felt like Wonder Woman and Aquaman should have been able to hold their own. I really felt that based off of scaling, that it only made sense that these two characters should be able to hold off Steppenwolf. I get it that his fighting ability and his power scaling, and they probably raised it up a little bit. But when you think about the power scaling of Wonder Woman, who beat Ares, Ares being the person who damn near cut Darkseid in half in this movie, it doesn't really make much sense. So Wonder Woman beat the guy that beat your boss, and you're below your boss, and she's struggling with you. That doesn't make much sense to me, right? And then also, like, you know, like Like I felt like Wonder Woman and Aquaman should have been enough in order to take down Steppenwolf story wise, and especially when you're looking at the cohesiveness of the franchises so far. And then also, I thought that Superman was going to like basically come in to take down Darkseid or to fight Darkseid, but then Darkseid never showed up. So that was another thing. Like they talked a lot about Darkseid, and you felt like Darkseid was actually going to come down and be like literally a part of this movie, but he wasn't, right? Um, that's what didn't really make sense to me. Like I didn't understand why Wonder Woman was struggling with Steppenwolf as much as she did. And it just, I don't know, man. It just didn't add up. Like I thought that that power scaling was wonky and it was way off. So they kind of dropped the ball on that. Also, I had a question to myself. This is a continuation, obviously, after Batman versus Superman. So I personally wanted to know what happened to the levitating dirt from Batman versus Superman. The Batman versus Superman, when you watch the ending, the dirt like starts to levitate, and it kind of implies that Superman is still alive. But in all incarnations of this film, Superman is dead, dead as a doorknob, dead isn't dead, and he has to be brought back to life. So I don't really understand what was the whole purpose of using the levitating dirt if you weren't going to like, like you get what I'm saying? Like I don't see it unless like what is it supposed to be like the mother box or something like that. But to me, it really felt like it was supposed to be hinting that Superman wasn't really dead. He's still there and he's going to come back alive. I don't know, like there was some sort of life force still left in him. So I found that those things didn't correlate with each other well, and I kind of find out kind of bothered me, right? Um, Another positive about this movie that I felt like the characters that don't have full length films were developed a little bit better. But then the bad part about it was the ones that do have full length films took a step back. So your Batman's, your Wonder Woman, your Aquaman, your Superman take a step back. Flash and Cyborg took a step forward. It was really cool learning a lot more about Cyborg and Flash. It was cool that Flash didn't seem like a punk, and it was cool that Cyborg, you learned a little bit more about him. Because I remember when I watched the original Justice League a couple of weeks ago, it really felt like Cyborg's character was there for no reason. And Flash's character also felt like it didn't serve no reason other than to resurrect Superman. Other than that, like Flash just seemed like a really, really just limited character in the film and felt like he served no purpose. This film, he served a purpose. He did a little bit more, but I still am not a fan of this incarnation of Flash. You can sit here and tell me all you want that he's still a kid. I don't care. I'm not a fan of this version of Flash. He's just not cool, right? Um, Moving on. This movie had a lot of superhero fights, but it had a lot of fights, but it just didn't feel like a superhero movie. The only part in this movie that felt superhero-ish or superhero-esque is the Wonder Woman bank robbery scene. The Wonder Woman bank robbery scene is probably like the only part of this film where you really feel like you're watching an actual superhero movie. It just didn't feel like a superhero movie, let alone a superhero team up movie. Uh, if I can, I'm going to give you an example from freaking Avengers Endgame. Avengers Endgame, it felt like a superhero, not even Endgame, Infinity Wars. When you're watching it, it feels like a superhero movie, and then on top of that, it did feel like a superhero team up movie, especially how they teamed up in order to try to get the gauntlet away from Apocalypse before old boy from the Guardians of the Galaxy fucked that up, right? So that felt very superhero-y, you know what I mean? This movie didn't really feel like a superhero film. It sure as hell didn't feel like a superhero team-up film. It just felt like an action-packed movie featuring characters that just so happen to be superheroes, right? It just didn't feel very superhero-esque. And that's where I think that this movie is drawing, like people are trying to draw parallels and comparisons and saying that it's as good or on as par as Infinity War, the two Infinity Wars, and I have to disagree because, like I said, this movie does not feel like a superhero movie. Infinity Wars felt like a superhero movie. It did a really good job at drawing out emotion and bringing out the emotions in you. The score was hidden. Infinity Wars had a lot going for it. And before you guys go off and talk about, oh, you're probably just a Marvel fanboy. In fact, I'm not. I actually like more DC characters than Marvel, to be honest with you. And then on top of that, I'm not really a huge superhero buff, so I don't really care about superhero franchises like that. So I don't have bias in this fight. Um, but like I said, I just noticed that Marvel did it better on a more superhero tip than this movie, right? Um, Wonder Woman had a lot of feats in this movie, but again, her power scaling was way off. It was a lot lower than what I expected. And also she's very stale in this movie and very generic. We didn't see much from her from an emotional aspect. She just seemed to be like the muscle. She just seemed to be a body in the room, somebody that can throw hands, but it really didn't feel like she had anything good to contribute to the film character wise, right? I'm trying to remember if I remember anything that she contributed emotionally to the Josh Whedon version of Justice League. I'm not 100% sure, but I think if I go back in there, I might be able to find something. But this movie, they really took the emotional out of her and the emotion out of her, and I really didn't feel like she was a lot of the main characters I didn't really care for. Like, you really just watch this movie for the fights, and that's about it. Story wise, yeah, I know they did a good job at trying to like flesh out these characters, but at the same time, like, this is really just a popcorn, I'm just going to enjoy watching these fights movies. Like, if I had to rewatch this, I'm not rewatching this for the story. I'm going to rewatch it strictly for the fights. And like, because they're eye candy fights. It was well done, I'm not going to lie. um Cyborg had a lot of character development, which honestly made me care about him. Like, I honestly cared more about him in this movie than I did in his original version. Like I said, a lot of these characters were very stale and lifeless, except for Cyborg and the Flash. But like I said, I probably Ray Fisher did a pretty good job at making me care about his incarnation of Cyborg. He did a very good job about making me care about a character that's not very relevant to the DC universe. So kudos to him for doing that. Flash in this movie was less annoying, but yet he still didn't feel like the Flash. I feel like we shouldn't be having a Flash that makes this many mistakes. Like, also, I don't understand how he took a shot from that Baxter looking creature.
Baxter, stop! I did it! I'm free!
Oh, who shot him in the leg while he was running around and charging. I don't understand how the hell that this Baxter looking creature shot randomly and was able to actually hit him, especially because these creatures seem like mindless drones to just do the bidding of a Steppenwolf. They don't seem like they even have any, they're just grunts. Like, I feel like they don't even, I don't understand how there's any a tactical ounce in their body. They just seem like mindless grunts, right? The car crash scene with Flash was very pointless. I felt like it was just another reason to use slow mo, which there was too many of those scenes in this movie. Uh, Flash is over here tripping over hot dog weenies. Like, I was done. That whole scene just felt kind of whack and pointless and useless. I guess it was supposed to be to showcase his abilities, but at the same time, it's like, we know who the Flash is. We know what he can do. You didn't need to build up a fake resume scene and saving somebody that's getting into a car accident just to make me feel like, oh, that's the Flash. Tight. Like, we know who he is. We know what he's capable of doing. You could have showcased this in a different manner, and I probably would have been 1,000 times better than what we got. That scene was pointless. This movie was filled with way too many slow-mo scenes, as I just mentioned before. It really felt like it just became really repetitive over a while. Like, watching the battle scenes, just like, down, 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 down. Like, it just really, really became too repetitive to the point where it's supposed to come off as epic, and it comes off as annoying. And I understand that that's Snyder's thing. He likes to do the slow-mo shots. That was done a lot in like 300 and things like that. But enough is enough. You need to understand when things are getting played out. That scene, that whole cinematography moment, the slow-mo, it's getting done. It's getting overused. It's oversaturated in film, especially action movies. Just stop it. Just stop doing that. It was way too much. Aquaman was a lot more bearable in this movie. He was less Big Lebowski. He was less the dude uh, than it felt like he was in the first movie. He still had no real development because he has a full length movie. So, like I said about the characters that have full length movies, they took a step back, and also he lacked that superhero moment in this movie. One can say, oh, well, he was fighting off the minions and he rode it like a surfboard, shit like that. But at the same time, like, that's not really a superhero moment. They could say, well, he stabbed Steppenwolf with the spear. Don't even get me started on that. I mean, I like the scene, but at the same time, it just came out of nowhere. You were getting watched most of the damn movie, then all of a sudden you just get this dope ass hit in. Whatever, man. I'm not even going to get into that. But like I said, Aquaman lacked a dope superhero movie moment. Batman lacked a dope ass superhero moment. Like, I mean, this man was just really just shooting most of the time. I mean, Batman was really just over there just on some like grunt work, shooting with his little AR laser rifle. And like, it just didn't really feel like he was much on the offensive. He didn't give much offense to this team. He just kind of was on the tactical side. He was like the master planner in a way, but he didn't really offer much on the battlefront other than just like shooting occasionally randomly at these little Baxter looking things. Um, Moving on, Superman was not epic in this movie. I will say that again. There are tons of people that think that Superman was just dope as shit in this movie, and he was not. You are sadly mistaken. You must have seen another movie. Uh, he watched Steppenwolf. Yeah, he did, but that was a wasted opportunity. Steppenwolf should have been beaten by Wonder Woman and Aquaman, honestly. And Superman should have only came in just to handle Apocalypse if he was going to be in this movie, because we were expecting to see Apocalypse in this movie, like, pull up, but he never pulled up. He was a mark. He stayed at home. So like I said, dude, it was a super waste. Superman coming in felt pointless. People were talking about like, yo, his character development was excellent in this movie. How? My man went crazy, forgot who he was for a minute, then just remembered who he was. Like, who fucking cares? Like, who really, really honestly cares? Nobody cares about that shit at all. That was like, if that's considered character development, man, somebody sitting on a toilet passing a turd is also character development. That shit was weak. It wasn't that tight. And even when he beat the shit out of Steppenwolf, it wasn't that dope. My man, honestly, like, was watching him with the first minute. So this is another thing. He was beating the shit out of Steppenwolf, right? Murked him, put him on the floor, laser vision. He like broke his armor off, and he cut his freaking that little ear part off with his laser vision. So he's like, and then it gets to that scene where they're talking. He just bah 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 bah, and it's like, you're doing all of this. You should have been killed him, because how is it that you're just doing all of this damage to him and you have yet to kill him with the blows and the things that you're doing? You literally cut his ear off. You literally could have cut his other ear off. You could have cut his damn head off if you wanted to. So why is this? You're literally zapping the shit out of him like close range, and yet it ain't killing him. So it's like, I didn't get the point of that. Him just beating him, beating Steppenwolf while they're waiting, like, I guess for like Cyborg to do his thing. It was pointless. It really was pointless. And it kind of low key made Superman look kind of weak, bro. He looked kind of weak. Now, my next point. Next point, bro. This is going to be a big one. The anti-life equation question. Didn't Darkseid know that Earth had that when he landed the first time? How does Steppenwolf find it? Didn't Darkseid already know it was there? Like, how did you forget? How can you forget the planet that you took an L on, homie? You're telling me that This is the only planet that actually fought back and whooped your ass and damn near killed you, bro. You was out there bleeding, and they put you in the back of the they put you in the back of the car like Ricky and in freaking Boys in the Hood, bro. You was bleeding out. They dragged you to the couch, put you on the couch, and your mama came in, my baby, all that. So how is it that you forget the planet that you took an L on, homie? Frieza remembered the planet that Goku was from, and he never even visited Earth before, bro. So, so Frieza took an L on Namek and remembered that Goku said he was from Earth. So he, after he revived, he was like, "Let's go back to Earth. That monkey's there," So Frieza pulled up the Earth. How did Darkseid forget that it was Earth? That was the planet. He knew that the anti-life equation was on that planet that he took an L on. And you're telling me you were an advanced civilization. You're telling me there's no way for you to track the planet that you got your ass whooped on. Also, on top of that, like, you're a very cocky being. So how is it that you don't remember what planet that you took an L on? That shit made absolutely no sense to me. I thought that was, to me, dumbest part of the movie. That was the biggest plot hole in this movie that made no freaking sense. And this was another thing. Darkseid was beaten by the people of Earth with no Kryptonian, right? So the box woke up because the Kryptonian, which is Superman, he left. That doesn't make sense because non-Kryptonians defeated him in the first damn place. So why is it that the Kryptonian is a threat, but yet you were beat by Amazons, gods, freaking Atlanteans? There was no Kryptonian, bro, that beat you. Hell, even the fucking Lantern that got his arm chopped off and died, he didn't do shit. But you got beat by humans, Amazons, gods, Atlanteans. You know what I'm saying? So Atlanteans, and then Wonder Woman was a freaking Amazonian hybrid god, right? Who beat another god, in fact, who beat the god that beat you. So why is it that once Superman dies, the mother box wakes up because it's like, oh, good, oh, yes, all the threats of this planet are now gone. Nah, bro, the biggest threat, which is the one that beat the one that beat you, she here. So maybe you should just think about that, bro, before you pull up. You know what I'm saying? So that's just what I'm saying. That's my thoughts. I felt like that was another plot hole that didn't make any sense. There is no Kryptonian there. Okay, yeah, bro. Kryptonians, that's the Hulk, man. That's the Hulk of the situation. But at the same time, you got other people that can manhandle your ass because, like I said, the power scaling. But as apparently they didn't keep up with the power scaling, so whatever. Moving on. The epilogue scene was pointless. I don't care what any of you guys say. It was pointless. Let me say it again. Pointless. For all of you people out there talking about the epilogue scene was tight, it was amazing, it was a masterpiece, it was well plotted out. Man, you were smoking glass dicks, bruh, because that scene was so fucking stupid. And that dialogue between Joker and Batman was atrocious. This man offered Batman a freaking reach around. That was the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. Like, I get it. Joker's a clown. Joker said some outlandish shit, but I don't never think Joker would say some wild shit like that. That shit just was out of character, and it seemed like this mofo, Jared Leto, was trying way too hard. And I feel like they let this fool freestyle a lot of those scenes. And it shows, low key. It shows. And that stupid ass laugh that sounds like Mr. Hanky from South Park, that whole that shit was stupid. It sounded like a haunted house door. And on top of that, those camera angles where his face is blurred and you just see like all the makeup smeared. It reminds me of the Marilyn Manson Sweet Dreams video. I'm just going to keep it a buck there. Um, Moving on from this horrendous incarnation of Joker who offered multiple people sexual favors for in exchange for monetary revenue. But anyway, I kind of like low key touching on this briefly. I kind of like the Legion of Doom ending better. I wasn't really feeling the whole Deathstroke. His name is Bruce Wayne. I wasn't really feeling that whole identity reveal thing. I wasn't digging it, bro. It was kind of whack. I kind of enjoyed the Legion of Doom ending much better. That's just my opinion, right? The Justice League fatality, bro. The Justice League fatality on Steppenwolf was dope, but I will say this: it seems out of character for Superman. Uh, in Man of Steel, Superman was hesitant to kill Zod, and in this movie, he just seemed super okay with fucking Steppenwolf dying. Like he was super all right with it. He was like, "We can body this dude. I don't give a shit." I don't feel like Superman will be okay with partaking in some shit like that. Like it just doesn't. It seems out of character. Wonder Woman, definitely see her do some shit like that. Aquaman, I guess. I mean, I'm not very familiar with how dark Aquaman could get, but my man looks like he could get pretty dark. Batman for sure. I can probably see that shit happening too, but not really Superman. Superman is a light-hearted character, so I feel like I know he has the ability to kill, but I don't think that he's like just out there just murking fools just for the fuck of it. You know what I'm saying? And that scene kind of felt out of place to me, especially in the DCEU universe. You had Man of Steel and you had all of that, and then it's like, come on. Superman ain't trying to kill mofos. That's what I'm just saying. Another hit on Superman is that the black suit kind of seemed like it didn't belong. I understand that the black suit is supposed to be absorbing sunlight, it's supposed to be helping Superman supercharge and shit like that. But at the same time, it just seemed a little bit out of place. My man looked very emo, like he was about to sing some Good Charlotte or My Chemical Romance. Especially the scene where he walked out and it's the ending scene and he goes like this. I really expected to see the old fashioned suit. I didn't expect to see the all black Superman. Honestly, that alone stood out really weird to me. Yeah, that black suit when he opened up his shirt, it looked kind of weird. Like I didn't really expect it. That just kind of stood out to me. Again, the movie didn't feel like a superhero movie. It felt like a superhero team up movie. The kill shot in the last scene was supposed to be the dope moment, but it didn't feel hero like. Like I said, a great example of a hero-like scene would be in Endgame, where you have the whole team teaming up in order to get Thanos' gauntlet off. That's a hero moment. The CGI in most of this film was solid, except for Martian Manhunter. Uh, I also wasn't too much a fan of the design of Steppenwolf's armor. I will admit that it looked a lot better than the original Justice League Steppenwolf, and even his face looked better than the original Justice League Steppenwolf. But I don't like the design of the armor. That's just me. Um, but back to Martian Manhunter. Excuse me. The CGI on him and whoever designed him needs to be fucking fired. That mofo looked retarded. I'm sorry, he looked really stupid. My man looked like PyCon from the other world tournament. He also served no purpose in this movie, and just looking at him, he just reminded me of freaking King Piccolo from Dragon Ball Evolution.
Meet Lord Piccolo. He'll take on anyone to unleash his vengeance on the world.
Human power has failed again!
Right? He was talking to Lois because she was the key. Now, unless this dude can see into the distant future, I'm not talking about into just a day. I'm talking about into the distant future. I don't see how and why he would have a conversation with Lois and how he knew that she was the key. Because I'm assuming that Lois dying is going to be the reason why Superman turns his back on humanity, I guess, right? That's what they're afraid of. And Martian Manhunter, for some reason, knows this, and he's trying to prevent it by leading Lois in a direction that's going to prevent her from dying, I guess. But like I said, keeping it a buck here, like that scene felt like it was pointless, it was useless, and it was only there to introduce us to Martian Manhunter. And I think that the only reason that they picked Martian Manhunter is because they couldn't find or couldn't use Green Lantern. I heard there's rumblings that he wanted to bring Ryan Reynolds to be Green Lantern back, but that didn't happen. So I guess Martian Manhunter is going to be the second fiddle, right? Uh, so one thing that this movie didn't do well uh, was making me care. Although the characters were fleshed out and they were, and more was done to them and it made me understand them a lot more, I still did not care about them. A lot of these characters could have died at any moment and I still wouldn't bat an eye because I just don't care. Like I understood Cyborg's character a lot more, but if he died, oh well, right? A lot of these characters were like, oh well, I mean, I have a certain attachments to certain characters, but that's just because of the other films, but not because of this particular film. Like this film in no way made me feel like any of these characters were in danger. There was no tension, and it just felt like I always knew that they were going to be all right throughout the whole movie. Like there was no real threat, and especially when they had the ace in the hole, Superman, to back them up. But like I said, like even though these characters were fleshed out more, the scenes were kind of extended. It just didn't feel like I could care about any of these characters. Like any of them could die at any moment. I just be like, well, sucks to be you, bro. Moving on. Um, I'm not even sure if this movie had any scenes that were supposed to be emotional. I mean, I can say that the Hippolyta scene with the temple and is descending into the ocean. I guess that could be emotional, but it didn't hit me emotionally. Her scenes watching the temple descend in slow mo. I mean, like I said, it wasn't really emotional like that. And like I said, that's something that other superhero movies have done very well, but this movie just couldn't grasp anything for me to feel emotional. Like there was no like emotional moment that was just like, damn, like I'm holding back tears, dog. There was none of that in this movie, and I can't just think of anything else. So if you guys want to go ahead and drop some things in the comment section, I'll let you know if I agree with you or disagree. Um, like I stated earlier, there was no real tension in this movie. You were always given a reassurance that the characters were going to be okay. And even if they weren't going to be okay, you always know that they had that ace in their back sleeve or their back pocket with Superman. Um, it's crazy because, like, when you think about it in the case of Marvel, Marvel always had a little bit of tension. When you're watching Infinity Wars, you felt like when Strange gave Thanos the freaking Mind Stone or whatever, you felt like it was going to be a wrap. Like it's a wrap, bro. Like you felt like the universe was really in dire peril because all he needed was like one more in order to like complete the gauntlet. And you're just sitting there, just like fuck, like it's really about to be over, bro. Like there was tension. Like you really thought that, even though like how movies work, and that there was going to be a part two and they were going to find a way to correct it, you still felt while watching the movie kind of like that sense of hopelessness. I never felt like a sense of hopelessness in this movie, and that's bad, especially for it to be a superhero movie and like a pre-apocalyptic situation. Like I never felt like they were really in danger at any moment. Like you always knew that they were going to be okay. Um, in reality, this movie just seems like the same old movie. Some scenes were just longer. Some scenes were added. There were some pretty big alterations in the movie, like the last act and the epilogue. But other than that, most scenes just seemed like they were just like extended. And then also, I I kind of feel like some of the slow mo scenes probably like added a couple extra minutes to this movie. So I don't, like I said, this movie just seemed like it. What happened was it was edited, like heavy edited. There was a lot of cuts, and then Zach basically put his cuts back in. That's what it really feels like. There wasn't really much like new scenes in the movie. There was like some scenes that were cut out, but it just didn't feel like like it was really like a brand new damn movie. It felt like it was just like, oh, this was the shit that was cut out. Like we just basically we basically went to the DVD menu, clicked extras, clicked deleted scenes, and then watched all the damn deleted scenes from this damn movie. That's what it really feels like. Uh, this movie by far is not a masterpiece. People that are saying that are tripping badly. I would recommend that you probably like, get tested, see if you have like some sort of drugs in your blood way. If you think that this movie is a masterpiece, it is far from it. It's a decent film, worth a watch, but the replay value isn't really there. I feel like this movie is one of those hot today, gone tomorrow type movies that I believe is not going to be talked about in the next few years. I feel like a lot of the reasons why this movie is being talked about now is because it has a lot of hype going behind it, because there was a whole movement on getting this movie made. So after people watch this movie and they see it, and they, whether they like it or not, this movie is not going to be talked about in the top tier superhero movies. Like, people are not going to be like, yo, like, that's like a top 5 superhero movie like ever. It's not, like, at all. Because it's not a superhero movie. It is definitely just an action movie that features superheroes. There's no superhero-esque moments. There are no real like feelings of endangerment. But like I said, altogether, I really still did enjoy this movie. It was a fun watch. I'm glad I got to see it. A lot of the scenes that were fleshed out made things make more sense, put things a little bit more in perspective, made you care more about some of the characters, especially some of the lesser known characters. But at the end of the day, this movie is still a decent film to watch. It's good, right? It's not great. It's nowhere near a masterpiece, but it's good. So I still stand by my B grading. I feel like this movie is a solid B. I don't think it's going to go anywhere above that. I feel like maybe if I watch it again, I feel like the grade might start deteriorating, because I'm going to start noticing more and more problems with the film. And with that, that grade is going to start deteriorating. So this is my first watch grade. Most movies can't stand the time, the trials of time. So if I rewatch this again, which I'm not going to, like I said, that grade is probably going to start going down. A lot of movies, the grade will go down if I rewatch it, but there's some movies that do stand the trials of time and can weather the storm and deal with being watched multiple times. And either you start noticing more things and appreciating it, and the grade gets bumped up. There's a few movies out there like that, but this definitely is not one of them. I was recommended by a subscriber that I should watch this at least 2 more times. How you out your motherfucking mind, bro? I ain't watching this shit again. This is a cool movie to watch, fun to watch. If you like superheroes and things like that, definitely check it out. But outside of that, it's nothing special, extraordinary, masterpiece worthy. It is a very decent movie, and it's something that you should probably see. But as far as like watching it and building a universe off of it, I really wouldn't go that far. So that's my review. That's my full-on notes. You guys have got into the mind of Davey from the 80s, and let me know if you agree. Let me know if you disagree, whatever the case may be. Drop it in the comments section down below, and I will see you guys next time. Adios.